suppose in the latest season of Love is Blind, we had this promising couple, Devin and Brittany. Things were going well. They had the same interests. They were both involved in sport. It seemed like they both had the same religious beliefs. It seemed like they ticked each other's boxes. They were going to be the black couple of this season, black love, love and basketball. It was given that. But then Brittany revealed something and it all went downhill. In this season, it seems like most of the men are Christian. I feel it seems like this area that they're casting in has a very large Christian community. And Devin has made it very clear of his faith. He's a proud Christian. And throughout the season, with different couples, like I said, most of this cast seems to be Christian. We've seen like different perspectives of their faith. And it seemed like it was a very diverse group because Christians are very diverse. I feel like the stereotypical version of a Christian is like ultra conservative, racist, misogynistic, they hate the gays, etc. But a lot of the cast were quite progressive Christians. Not all of them even went to church every Sunday. So yeah, it was giving kind of progressive, liberal Christian vibes for the majority of the cast. But during their conversation, it was unclear where Devin is. And I would say as somebody who grew up in a Christian household, I feel like most black Christian families are conservative leaning. Even if they vote for like more socialist groups, the mindset is still very conservative when it comes to things like sexuality. That is not to say that there isn't black progressive Christians. I was one at one point before I was an atheist. And my best friend is a Christian, and sometimes I forget that she is a Christian just because she is very progressive. And we be chatting shit about Christians, so sometimes I forget that she is still one. I do feel like as like a community, as a black community, because I feel like the majority of the black community is Christian, I feel like we are beginning to progress a lot more. But I feel like a lot of it is still very much on the tolerance level rather than acceptance. Like, for instance, they could, interact with queer people, even befriend queer people, but would they want to be in a relationship with a queer person? Probably not. And that's the dilemma that they ran into. And even this dilemma was just very messy on all sides. So basically, Brittany reveals that she is queer. I'm not even sure if she was really saying that she's queer, whether she's accepted that she's queer. It just feels like she was saying that she's had experiences with, well, quote unquote experiences, but she's dated, because even the way that she was packaging it, I think she kind of knew that Devin might not like it. But essentially, she's dated women in the past and she's been sexually active with women in the past. But she feels like she is not going to marry a woman. She can't envision herself marrying a woman. If she is going to get married, she envisions that being with a man. And, she says that she's friends with lesbians and with queer people, who have gotten married. But she just doesn't think that her union in a marriage would be same sex. It would be with a man. Devin is instantly taken aback. And he's like, oh, so like, I feel like he was going around the way saying it, but he was basically saying, so are you saying that you're queer? Like, are you like bi? Like, you like women? And Brittany is trying to go around answering the question. She's saying, oh, I'm attracted to people. But she wasn't saying like she was pansexual. She's just shifting it away from being attracted to women. And he, asked her again, like, are you attracted to women then? Like basically saying like, are you gay? And again, she's just going around in the circle. And she even said like she hasn't really told this to anyone before. So I'm assuming like this is hush hush between close friends. And it's very clear that she's still kind of in denial about her sexuality. She's still figuring things out and perhaps still conflicted. I can't remember whether she said she's a Christian or not, but I feel like she is at least religious, and I can assume that she is from like a Christian family. She grew up in a Christian family. and grew up in the Christian community. So I'm assuming she was probably in the church, because she was talking about like even with her friends and stuff, she feels like she couldn't really tell them about it. So I'm assuming she grew up like in the church, going to like being heavily involved in the church. Like maybe it's from a church community, maybe like her family members are like working in the church. That's the vibes that it's given. And you know what, I'm gonna give her grace, simply because like I know what it's like growing up in a Christian household and questioning things. Like for me, that was one of the things that kind of made me at odds with religion, the whole sexuality thing, and how it was wrong to have same-sex attraction. Like I could never really get my head around that, because the messaging is that that's wrong and the people who do that are going to hell. But I just was like, but why? It didn't make sense to me. And kind of the homophobia and the hatred towards the queer community that people have because of Christianity also just didn't really make sense to me. So I think it makes complete sense why, you know, people who grew up in religion who are queer are conflicted, and, you know, are in that denial phase for a very long time, or maybe have got past the denial phase but don't want to actually say it out loud. I feel like that's where she's at. But for me, I'm just kind of like with her saying like, you know, because I'm not sure if she was saying it wasn't that serious, her relationships with women, or whether she was just saying like she couldn't see herself marrying a woman, because I think that's two different things. But I always find it really weird and kind of funny when people kind of downplay their queerness to try and conform to heteronormative norms. Because there's one thing being conflicted about your sexuality and repressing that and not acting on it. But it's like, you really wanted the coochie that bad that you've had several relationships with women, and now you're trying to downplay your sexuality because you want to get married to a man. I just find that very funny. And I know there's been a lot of debates, especially from the queer community, of like people who will come and like have sex with the same sex, but then go off and, you know, marry the opposite sex. Like they're happy to have sex and have fun with the same sex, but then not take them seriously romantically. Which kind of feeds into the whole narrative of gay people not wanting to date bi people or queer people because, you know, of this phenomenon, and, you know, kind of turning into like a biphobia type of thing. Personally, from my perspective, as somebody who's grown up in a Christian household, in a Black Christian community, I think a lot of it is fear. Because it's easier, especially if you are attracted to both. Like, it'd be one thing if you are like actually gay, just faking it with the opposite sex. But if you are queer or bi, so you have attraction to both, or like you're pansexual, I can definitely understand people opting to be in a heterosexual passing relationship, because it's an easy option. It's an easy option. You're not going to get disowned by your family. You're not going to have to worry about being, you know, queer discrimination. The reality is that it's an easy option. Now, people say that honesty is the best policy, but my thing is, if Brittany had decided that she now wants to cosplay as a straight woman, I feel like she should have just kept this to herself, because Devin dumped her after that.